Good evening, spirits. It's the great thinker here, the wise servant, Mr. Solace. Now, today I want to do this video called Understanding Monks. And this is a very deep, important video I want y'all to all grasp. Now, we all know of monks. We've seen them in movies, we've heard of monks, but we know very little about monks. No one truly really knows a monk. And it's a deep thing because all real monks, they've given up speaking. They've taken an oath of silence. So you would never get any information from a monk. So this is why I say there's very little known about monks. But it's a deep thing I want y'all to grasp, because the way of life that monks live, this is an old ancient way of life. It goes way back before religion. Now, religion has adopted the monk way of life to its way. So every religion has their sector, so to say, of monks. You figure in Christianity you have nuns, you have all different kinds of monks. Tibetan monks, Shaolin monks, Jain monks, Hermetic monks. So you have many different kinds of monks. But it's all according to the religion. This is what separates the monks in the way of life they live. But they pretty much live the same way of life, which is giving up the physical. So I want to break that down to y'all exactly what the way of life that monks live and what's the purpose of it. And is it actually the right way to live? Now, a monk is basically someone who has given up all the worldly things, like every aspect of it, or at least they're pulling for that. They're practicing to get to that point where they don't indulge in any worldly things. So you figure a monk, starting with their physical. Monks don't wear clothing. They all wear the same garment. You know, the little either monk hooded thing or the little turban, I call it turban type of garment. But they don't really indulge into clothing. They only cover themselves, cover what needs to be covered. But as far as indulging in the fashion and all that extra stuff, they don't do that. Then when you get to their actual physical body, they don't tattoo themselves. They don't have any hair. They shave their hair. They even shave their eyebrows and eyelashes. And this is because this is a physical thing. And they're shedding themselves of all the physical worldly things, because this is how people get lost into the worldly things. And they get separated from their spirit. So this is why they do things like shave their head, shave their eyes. Because in a person having eyebrows, then they begin to want to arch their eyebrows. And they begin to want to beautify themselves, and then they get lost from their spirit. So every little physical thing adds on to you being completely lost. All the way down to eyebrows and eyelashes. See, you have to grasp. Women go to the store and buy eyelashes. You have real human eyelashes, and these are animal eyelashes. They're hairs and things like that they're making this with. So you see how a person can become lost in the most simplest things. So they shave their hair. People have hairstyles. People begin to lock up their hair and braid it and do all types of things with it. And then they become lost in the hair. They say things like, oh, the hair is special. It's an antenna. Hair is important. And it's a deep thing you have to grasp. No physical thing is important. It is only a distraction from you being intertwined or in tune with your spirit. So it's a deep thing. They shave their head, they shave their eyebrows, they shave their eyelashes off. Monks I'm speaking of. As far as eating go, they don't have a real diet where they'll eat the same things every day. The most minute things, because they're not lost into the worldly things. They may eat insects, not because insects are least important of the life, but because insects are the most smallest part of the life. So it's all about intake. This is their whole thing, pulling away from the physical things. Because all physical things we indulge in, it is the killing or the taking of the life that we're indulging in. So we indulge in the death of the life. When you wear clothing, this is dead animals' hide and all different types of things. When you wear weaves and eyelashes, this is horses and all types of animals being slaughtered for these things. So it's a deep thing. They do not indulge in the worldly things because they understand this is how one becomes disconnected from their spirit. Even with seeing, this is why they separate themselves from society and they live secluded from everyone and they're just around monks. Because they don't want to see any of the things that we indulge in, because this draws you in. Seeing things, this is what draws you in, or wanting to experiment with the thing. So it's a deep thing you have to grasp. They seclude themselves for the purposes of not getting enticed by the worldly things that we headstrong into. And it's a deep thing you have to grasp. This is how monks live. Now you have all different types of monks. I know y'all think, oh, monks, they do this so they can get in tune with their spiritual and do all types of magical things, and it has nothing to do with this. I know you see movies where monks be fighting and they do all type of crazy fighting things, and monks have nothing to do with this. You may have some monks who indulge into the arts for the purposes of protecting those who are completely submerged into the lifestyle of monkhood. So it's a deep thing. They all sacrifice themselves in different ways. You have other sects of monkhood where they actually beat themselves. It's a deep thing. And this is pretty much what monks are. They live this way to be in tune with their spirit. And it's a deep thing you have to grasp, because a true monk only lives through his conscious. They don't live through the physical. So you have to grasp, a monk may wake up, eat breakfast, and then he'll just, what we would call meditating, close his eyes. He may be sitting up or whatever, but he'll close his eyes and just live through his conscious, reflecting on his spirit and whatever he may have experienced if he didn't come into it since childhood, and live out through his conscious, sort of in a daydream state. And then he'll snap out of that, maybe eat dinner, do it again, but never indulging in any physical acts or doing any physical things. Truly, don't speak nothing. And it's a deep thing you have to grasp. This is how the true monks live, in that way, where they just live through their conscious and they don't indulge into the physical in no aspect at all. Because even monks eat. So this is still indulging into the physical, but they limit all their physical things to as much as a person could possibly without dying. So you have to grasp. Now I know a lot of y'all wonder, is this the right way to live? And I want y'all to grasp, it's a deep thing. One extreme brings about another extreme. So things got or things are extremely bad. Therefore, you have the monk way of life, which is the extreme of the true way we're supposed to live. So things are extremely bad. And this is the extremes. Life is a balance. When one thing gets to the extreme, the other side balances out. So when you have men getting extremely bad, then you have others pulling for the extremes of goodness. And it's a deep thing you have to grasp. Now, the way the monk lives is right, but it's the extreme of right. See, the whole purpose of pulling away from the physical is so that you don't lose track of self in the spirit, in the life, in the morals and principles and things that truly matter. So this is the whole purpose of that way of life. But it has been pushed to the extremes because of religion and all types of other things that's been attached to it. But the monk's way of life is the true first way of life, you can say, before men begin to indulge deeply into the physical things. So you figure at one point, people were not indulging in hairstyles and arching their eyes and what kind of clothing they were going to make. These things were not important. Then people begin to go lost and get into the extremes of this, where it's on the market for sale. And then people going into the extremes, then you have others going into the extremes of goodness, where they begin to cut off their eyebrows, eyelashes. They begin to cut off their hair because they see how bad things are becoming and they want to separate themselves from it by all means, because it's a deep thing you have to grasp. So one thing begets another. One extreme brings about the other extreme. But we have to grasp, somewhere between the balance is the true way to live. See, it's not about what you wear. So you could have on Versace, or you could have on a rag. The whole thing is to not get lost in the garment, in the clothing, where you begin to judge people by what they have. You betray people because of the things you're offered. So this is what that brings about when people begin to get lost in the physical aspects of things. A woman can entice you with sex and lust and make you go against your morals. You can be bought with your morals by being bribed with the things, the physical things that you want. So this is why the monk's way of life is necessary for a lot. Meaning most people in today's times need a time living as monks do, so they can truly understand what life is again. Because people are completely lost in the physical. I seen a video where a brother was trying to diss a brother. He said, man, you broke, man. You don't even have a car. I seen you on the bus with your son. And I said, damn, because the brother was trying to defend himself against it, you know? And I was like, damn, we in bad times. The whole key thing that the brother said that was so deep was that he got on the bus to go get his son. And brothers have cars and they don't even go get their son. So I said, that's a deep thing. The brother was feeling bad and he should have felt proud. Nigga, even if you don't got a car, you still make sure you go see your son. And that's what's important. And it's a deep thing. I said, yeah, we off track a lot. And this is how that happens. So it's all about the balance. People need to live as monks so they can get back in tune with their spirit. This is why people feel so bad inside, but they look good on the outside. But in the inside, they got so much guilt and anger built up and all this crazy stuff and all this stress and anxiety because they're not in tune with themselves. You living for what others expect of you. And this is no good for you. But you have to find the balance in between the way monks live and the way we currently live, where you're not lost into the physical things and you only indulge into the things that you may need. Yeah, you may splurge a little bit in this thing or that thing, But you must understand what the physical is in every aspect of it. Because the way monks live, this is how elders are supposed to live before they pass over. Therefore, they can return back to the all. I got a video called The Three-Corner Pathway. I think that's the video I got, the only video I got on YouTube that I charge for. But that video is breaking down what people need to do before death. And the way monks live, this is how people are supposed to live when they get old in age before they die. They're supposed to live like monks live and pass off that way. It's a deep thing. You can go check out the video if you ever get a chance. But it's a deep thing you have to grasp. People are not supposed to die from murder or die from sickness. Old people are supposed to just disattach themselves from the physical. But over time and years of practicing, this is why in certain religions you have days of fasting. You have the Sabbath, and you have all these different times where you're supposed to go without eating physical things. This is why those religions have that. Because when you get old in age, this is your transition. So those days are supposed to build you up for when you get old in age. It'll be easy for you to transition into your monkhood way of life until you give up all physical things, food and everything. So you figure an elderly person will say, okay, I'm ready to give up the ghosts and go on my way. Then they'll go into the monk way of life, and it'll be easy for them because they've been, they're not attached to the physical things. We attach to each other. We attach to our clothes and our worldly possessions. We attach to too much. So when it's time to pass over, you attached. You like, nah, I'm going to miss my peoples. I'm going to miss all my stuff. And then when your spirit passes on, it's stuck. And this is how people stay stuck in hell. So I call it. You stay stuck in this physical hell. The spirit gets recycled over and you keep repeating this same existence, just on different levels of the life, because you're attached to the physical. So everyone's stuck in hell, so to say, by choice. Because when people are passing on, they not like monks, where they're not attached to any physical thing. This is why monks don't have kids and wives. They're trying to not be attached to anything in this physical world, where they desire it or they have a yearning and a need for it. And this is how we're supposed to be when we get old in age, where it's easy for us to just go into a room, block ourselves off from all physical things. If you go a certain amount of time without eating, you'll pass off. So this is how old people are supposed to do it. But they won't get hunger pains and things like this because they're not attached to the food. So it's a deep thing you have to grasp. This is why I say we have to get in tune with self. Y'all too lost into the physical. It's a deep thing. I recommend y'all all go watch that video. It's worth whatever price I have for it. But it's worth it. Because people are not dying right. People are not even in the right spirits in their day-to-day life. And spirit is all out of whack. And it's a deep thing I have to grasp. Life could be so much better. Everybody could be so much more wealthy. There could be no poorness and all this if people's spirits was just in whack and they understood what I was saying. Or they understood the way monks lived and say, okay, this is the way, but that's the extreme of the way, but I get it, that's the way. See, you live like how the monks live, where clothing and the things you have on, this doesn't matter. Hairstyles, these things don't matter. Because in hairstyles, you get lost in the hair. You think that's important. This is why people think the hair is an antenna, or it's some special things, or you're supposed to have dreadlocks, or you're supposed to have a wig, and none of that matters. It's all physical. There's no physical thing you're supposed to need, or that you need. There's no physical thing that you need to have to get you back in tune with the allness of the life. All physical things is just a block from it. When you hear yourself speaking in the manner, oh, my hair is important, then you know you're lost in the physical. This food is important to eat. Mind you, all food is life. You're eating something that was living. So when you speak about physical things and this is the way to get in tune with the spirit and unconscious, this is why monks live that way, because that's what happens. And then it's no talking to y'all. See, when I say what I say, people get lost in the ego. When they say he don't know what he talking about, he always trying to come at people. I'm telling y'all the truth. Being as though you're lost in the things that y'all lost in, y'all take it as an attack. And sometimes I do, well, in the past, I'm on my new spiritual ascension thing, so. But in the past, yeah, I used to nitpick with people, as everybody nitpicks with everybody. But this is how that happens. People get lost in the physical, then they truly believe that this is the way. And this is better than that thing, and it's both two physical things. Monks are not lost in that. You cannot bribe a monk to betray his brother with any physical worldly thing, because they don't indulge in that. And this is the purposes of that. Now imagine if a person could have all the wealth in the world, but have the spirit of a monk, where none of it matters. This is the goal. For you to experience the physical life without getting lost in it. So it's a deep thing y'all have to grasp. I live in this physical life and I indulge in physical things. But I'm not lost in it. It's nothing I'm attached to that I can't give up. Nothing. I could go from one state to the next. I've done this before. Just pick up and go from one state to the next. Leave everything behind. It doesn't matter. It's physical stuff. You get things, you lose them. Then you get more stuff, and none of it matters. And this is the whole point. Brothers begin to drive cars, and then they view themselves according to that. And they forget that they're better than the car. Men made the car. So you come from the divineness that thought to make the thing, but you put the thing is better than yourself. You say the Ankh is the symbol of life, and you're the symbol of life. That's just the thing. You're the living thing in the life, so you are the symbol of it. And this is what happened when we indulge into the physical. And this is why monks live that way. And this is why we live in the extremes of the way we live. Where y'all pull for sign symbols and physical hair and this thing, that thing. And monks, they just completely disconnect from everything, and they have no experience of the physical life. And that's not a way to live, because if everyone lives that way, there would be nothing experienced in the physical. There would be no care for anything. And you have to grasp. This is what a monk's pulling for, to not care for any physical thing. So it's a deep thing you have to grasp. You have to indulge into the physical and experience life. But once you get lost in it, you lost yourself. And then you're stuck there. So just look at life like that. We all look at life and we heard or know, oh, life is eternal. Or it's supposed to be. Yet we have a death attached to ours. So you have to grasp on simplest terms. If you want to be released from that death, which is sleep, unconsciousness, it's all the same. You get punched in the face, you get knocked out. Then you wake back up. You go to sleep at night, you wake up in the morning. You do that every day. Then at the end of your life, you die. You ascend up like the sperm cell did from micro to the macro. You do the same thing, and then you live the same. So you keep living the death in the life. The death is a part of the life you live. Life is eternal. Your life has deaths in it. So you have to grasp. It's because people are attached to the physical. So when they pass on, they truly don't pass on because they still stuck on the physical people and physical things that they had. And they had no understanding of the person within, which is the true person. So then that person becomes null and void. Grasp. Simple as that. I try to find ways to explain life in depth to y'all, because it's truly a simple thing. People stuck in this existence by choice, by thought. You think physical things is everything. It's like this. A blind man can't see the world, but the blind man knows himself. A person who isn't blind, they know the world, but they don't know themselves. So we look at the blind man as he got it bad. But if the blind man could see, he'd probably kill himself. Because we have it bad. And it's a deep thing you have to grasp. Just look around you. You have brothers betraying brothers, friends betraying friends for money and things like this. It's past money. People are doing it just to be apart. Two dudes could be best friends and one to betray the other just to be a part of this new thing that's going on. So y'all have to grasp. Souls are being sold because people lost in the physical. You can damn near bribe anybody to do anything in today's times. Everybody just has a different price level. But you can pretty much bribe anybody to do anything to anyone. There's no morality left. And it's a deep thing you have to grasp. I was reading this old Russian manuscript. And it had a whole bunch of different things in it, and I was reading it. And it was talking about this experiment that scientists did with this, or doctors, they did with this man. He basically gave himself up to science before he died. But he still had he still had life left in him, but he didn't care no more. He was ready to pass on, but he still had life. So he said, I'm just donating myself to science. So they took him in. He was still alive and everything. They didn't kill him or nothing. Took him in. So they did this experiment on him because he said, y'all could do whatever y'all want with me. It don't matter. So they pretty much disattached all his nerves. They disattached the nerves to help him to see. Disattached those so he could no longer see. They disattached his nerves of hearing. He couldn't hear. All his nerves of touching. So he couldn't see, hear, or touch. But they left him the feeling, and they left him being able to speak. So he was able to feel and speak, but he couldn't see, hear, or move. And they left him like that. And they said he kept mumbling crazy stuff. They couldn't understand nothing he was saying. But they knew he was in pain. He was screaming. But they couldn't understand. And there's nothing they could do. He can't see, feel. There's nothing they could do. He's pretty much living in his own conscious. You got to grasp. If you can't see or hear, you have no choice but to live in your own conscious. When you wake up, you still... So grasp. When you wake up, you still can't see nothing or hear nothing. So you're still in the same state of being. So he's in this state of being and he's basically getting tormented. They said he was pulling out his nails. So I'm sorry, he had the sense of feeling and I forgot how it was. But they said he was pulling or he was biting his tongue. I'm sorry. He couldn't touch, but he could feel. And they said he was biting his tongue. Trying to bite his tongue off and bite his lips away and biting away at his body. Whatever part of it he could reach, because he could still speak. He just couldn't, and he could feel, but he just couldn't touch and, do anything with himself. So he's biting his lips off and shit like that. I'm sorry. And then they said it's basically his last moments of life. His last words was, they say he was very quiet, and then he snapped out of it for his last moments of life, and he said, God gave up on everybody and died. And it's a deep thing I'm trying to tell y'all. This is hell that we live in. It's no joke when I say that. I know people think it's a funny joke and it's pseudo, but y'all don't grasp. You're a prisoner of the physical. The body is physical darkness. This is why I cast a dark shadow. Light don't cast no shadow. You don't see no shadow with the light. You only see my hand. You don't see the shadow, the flame. You don't see the flame reflection, because light reflects light. You see the light reflecting off light, and you see my hand reflecting off darkness. Because this is the physical chains, the physical darkness. You know that the Bible talks about? Hell is chains of darkness. Yes, talking about the physical body. And we all here by choice. And it's a deep thing. You can learn from the monks. The extremes of the life. They've went to the extremes where they're shaving off their hair, they're shaving their eyebrows, and they're shaving their eyelashes. They're trying to get every physical thing off their body. To the extremes. And then you have to look at us so that you can grasp. We are the extremes of that. So the way you look at that and say, that is crazy. Cut your eyelashes and eyebrows off. This is how they look at us. Because we're the extremes of that. Arching your eyebrows. You're putting longer eyelashes on and you're completely lost in the physical for no reason. This is what y'all speak about. This is important conversations to people. Then you get to the point where people getting butt injections and all, and people completely lost in the physical. They trying to make their physical body so perfect. Supposed to make the spirit perfect so you feel good and then others feel good. And the energy is being pushed around of goodness and good feeling. This is not happening. People are feeling low, so they're trying to fix the physical up. And it's a deep thing you have to grasp. But it's the humble servant of the life. I hope this video did something for you lovely spirits. You can go into the description of this video. Go to my GoFundMe. Go to my email if you want to holler at me about something. And that's that. It's your main man Solace, the humble servant. Do your service to the life.